You're listening to Lore Friendly. I'm your host, Chris Takahashi, and with me, as always, is the Sultan of Shakespeare, the Babe of Booths. I fucked that up. The Sultan of Shakespeare, the Babe of Booths, Alice Bell. What's up?
That definitely didn't take more than one try.
No, it did not. Nobody will
And we definitely haven't been absent for God knows how many months.
Yeah, I think, what was it? A Valentine's Day episode was the last one?
Yeah, Hatful Boyfriend.
Yeah, that was like almost half a year ago. So,
shit.
in the meantime, we have to pour out some liquor for some of these podcast hosts. I think some of them left. But
really?
I'm not entirely sure which ones because they keep emailing me saying they're going to do a show, but then they don't. So, then they disappear. Just
never to be heard from again.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they're heard from again for like a year later, so we're still holding out hope.
That'd make a great creepypasta.
Yeah, but we're still
the
going
mysterious
strong.
Case of the disappearing podcast hosts.
We need to put on our Deerstalker hats and get on that.
Yeah. There is a new trailer for Sherlock out.
Is there?
And it's set in Victorian London.
But how can you stay interested in that? They have like 2 episodes and then they're on hiatus for like a decade.
It's 3 episodes. Come
Oh,
on.
excuse me. 3 episodes.
And I'd rather 3 episodes of quality telly than 22 episodes of just shit.
True. But there's too much space in between, I feel like, with some shows.
Yeah, it will be 2 years between episodes.
Like, when's the last time George R.R. Martin even wrote a page?
Don't get me started on that. He released a Sansa chapter quite recently, and by quite recently I mean in this decade.
Okay.
So that was
sometime during the Carter administration, basically.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Not much. It's mainly been university stuff.
Okay.
And training.
Quidditch.
Yeah, Quidditch.
Welters.
There is a Quidditch club at uni.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, we play against Oxford.
Do you actually get on brooms and
yeah, you have
cast
to run
spells?
you have to run with a broom in between your legs. It just looks ridiculous. Like, I follow my uni on Tumblr, and that's basically the only thing they post.
Yes, and then you hop in your TARDIS and go home for the day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't really have any news on my part, but I do have news on behalf of Moksha 8088 is organizing a Vilya and Interesting NPCs collaboration.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're like doing it all without me. He's like contacting voice actors, he or she.
Wow.
And yeah, so they're like continuing on the mod because I'm too lazy to, basically.
Well, you're focusing more on Fallout now.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. But it's kind of nice. I mean, I'm not going to be around forever, so
yeah,
it's
you have left a legacy.
Yeah, sort of. I think of it more as like an opportunity for people to make something better.
Yeah.
I mean, the original creator of Batman didn't really have anything to do with like the Christopher Nolan movies. He basically just made a guy in tighties who solves crimes dressed as a rodent. Like, the actual concept is pretty absurd.
Yeah. But honestly, I think Batman the Animated Series is like the pinnacle of the Bat franchise.
Oh yeah. It has the best Riddler, no doubt about that.
It has the best Joker, it has the best Batman. It's just incredible. And it gave us Harley Quinn.
Clearly has the best Harley Quinn.
My babe. I fucking love Harley Quinn. She's the best. Without the animated series, we wouldn't have Harley Quinn.
And to segue a little bit, we wouldn't have Harley Quinn, the video game character.
Yeah. Oh, that was smooth. I didn't even see what you were doing there.
No, I wasn't going to.
It just happened. There's been Batman news out all weekend.
Yes. Did you want to talk about the game?
Well, should we talk about Steam refunds first and then lead into the game?
Sure, go ahead. So what's your beef with Steam refunds?
I have no beef. I think it's like an amazing idea because we should just be able to refund stuff that's like retail in general. And the fact that like we've had to put up with not being able to refund games for so long without jumping through hoops is ridiculous. Especially considering how shitty companies treat PC ports. Like, for example, Arkham Knight.
Nice.
Which is riddled with shit. It just runs terribly. Like I've seen I've seen like videos of it running on top end systems, like top $6,000 systems or whatever.
So you basically need a quantum supercomputer just to run it on minimum settings.
Yeah.
Even Deep Blue tried to run that shit and just was like, no thanks. I don't want any part of it. And it's almost like when you have a defective product and you have to make a decision whether you want to recall, it always comes down to, is the price of the recall going to be more than the price of litigation, basically?
Yeah.
And if you're one of those people who get the defective product, you're basically fucked.
Well, that's pretty much what they did with Arkham Origins. Because they said that they weren't going to fix any more of the bugs, they were just going to focus on DLC to make more money.
Yeah.
Whereas with Arkham Knight, they've had to withdraw it from the store until they can fix all the bugs and stuff, and they've advised people to go and get refunds. And I think that's partially because of the
backlash?
Yeah, of the backlash, but also because people can actually prove financially that they're upset with the port by requesting refunds.
So was the refund system not in place at the time?
No, like Arkham Knight's the first big release to come out since the refund system.
Right, but was the refund system a reaction to... did the developers know that this was a possibility?
I don't think they did, because like Steam refunds came out 2 weeks before Arkham Knight, I think.
Okay, so that makes more sense. They're like,
yeah.
Oh fuck it, they can't refund the game anyway.
We can't get away with our shitty ports anymore. No.
Yeah, they have to be a bit more prudent with
yeah
how buggy their games are when they come out.
Yeah, it gives us like a bit more power,
right,
in the consumer seller relationship,
as opposed to modding where there's basically no rules whatsoever.
Well, you're doing it for free, it's fine.
Yeah, as long as the mod doesn't break your game or, I don't know, turn Delphine into a mud crab or something. It's really up to the modder how much support they want to give.
Yeah, it's always good when you download, like I've downloaded some mods that have just like messed up my actual game completely. Like it messes with some of the vanilla scripts and completely fucks it over. Like there was this I'm not going to name names, but there was this Dark Brotherhood themed quest line that just completely fucked up my game. Like I had to do a fresh install and I had to troubleshoot and
okay, well that's a little bit over the line. Yeah, luckily I'm too stupid to be able to fuck up your game like that. Like basically the mods I make are just they're just people walking and talking, so there's no way that I could fuck up your game that badly. So
and sometimes pressing buttons.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I can joke about it, because
and shooting people.
Yeah, I don't have the intelligence to screw up your game,
which is great.
Yeah.
Who wants intelligent modders?
True. We want simple, easy to understand plots.
Yes.
Kill the bad guy. Marry the hot chick or dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very visceral. It's a visceral mod.
It's wonderful. I love it. Yeah. It's great.
But going back to businesses, because I was thinking with Fallout Shelter. See, another segue.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is like we planned it.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about just the fact that, like, it's probably making about $1 million a day just based on the numbers. Like, Candy Crush makes about $1 million a day, and Fallout Shelter was like up there as far as like the number one mobile app. And for those who don't know, Fallout Shelter is a mobile app tie-in.
It's basically like Sims with vaults.
Right. And it's making a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question to you is, how do you think that would affect future development for Bethesda? Because on the one hand, they have this AAA game, which they probably spent tens of millions of dollars on, and is probably not going to make nearly as much money as this tiny mobile app, which probably somebody just, put together in a cave with duct tape and a wrench or something. I don't know how mobile apps work.
I think, like, being completely cynical about it, if Bethesda was just purely profit-driven, then this would probably divert their attention away more to apps like Fallout Shelter. But the thing is, with a mobile device, you don't have the same tools. You can't express yourself as creatively as you can with a game like, say, Skyrim and stuff like that. Like, you can't put that level of detail into your worlds because, like, the device just can't handle it. There's always going to be a space for such, like, ambitious projects, and there's always going to be a space for stuff like Fallout Shelter. But without the original Fallout series, and without especially the popularity of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, Fallout Shelter wouldn't be half as popular as it has been, so they need to keep on bringing out these amazing AAA franchises to supplement.
Right, to be their brand, to build the brand.
And then
basically.
if people download the mobile app, then sure, cool.
Yeah, that's what I think. Basically, with AAA gaming, there's gonna be the really, really like high end, the brand games, the games that build the brand, the games that are there's no way they're gonna like lose money on those games.
No,
but I do think there's gonna be less, and it's already happening already. But there's gonna be less innovation as far as AAA goes. I mean, it's like that with movies already too. It's all sequels everywhere, right?
And reboots.
And then the indie. Right. And then the indie movies, or television is basically, right now, movies are not driving innovation at all. It's basically all television that's driving the innovation. So it might be the same with games. You're just going to have the indie games doing all the new stuff, and then the AAA games just building brands and being labors of love.
Yeah, I can see that. But I'm not opposed to it. Well, I'm not opposed to mobile gaming
just the way it is.
In general. Like, some companies are really, really shitty with the mobile tie-in apps that they've done. Like, I haven't heard much positive praise for the GTA 5 app, and I don't think I've ever used it. Assassin's Creed Unity was slammed for, like, trying to shoehorn in an app.
You can't just make the worst game ever and slap Mario's face on it. It has to be fun. Like, Fallout Shelter is actually fun to play.
Fallout Shelter looks hilarious. I really want a better phone just so I can play it. Like, some of the situations that come up in it is just hilarious.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's iPhone only,
is it?
right?
I thought they were doing an Android version.
They might have now, but at the start it was iPhone only, and it was still making a fuck ton of cash.
Well, I can't afford a fucking iPhone.
I don't even have a phone. But yeah, you have to go with what the market tells you. I mean, as a business sometimes. So like, if Candy Crush, I don't even know what it is, but it's probably a really like simple,
it's
addictive
like
game.
Bejeweled, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
or like any of those matching games.
Right. And if
really
people
shit.
like playing it and, it makes them happy, then what's wrong with that,
It's something you can do on your toilet break. I think that's the whole purpose of mobile gaming. You need to be able to sit on the toilet and do what you do whilst twiddling about with your phone.
Yeah, I don't even know what people did on toilets before they had, like, stuff. Well, I don't have a phone, but I basically read on the toilet, so.
I read shampoo bottles.
You're a what?
I read shampoo bottles.
Shampoo balls? What's that?
Shampoo, as in, like, hair
Oh, okay, shampoo.
stuff.
Yeah. You're like thinking, this guy doesn't even wash his hair. Yeah, I didn't really catch what you said.
I didn't read poo bottles or anything. This has gone downhill really quickly.
I think you might be right.
We've got dick jokes coming up later.
Yeah, this whole segment is just a setup for the wonderful penis joke we have coming up.
You want to talk about Game of Thrones?
Oh god, Sansa, no! My precious lemon cake!
Okay, first question. How do you feel about the changes? The fact that there are changes to the book.
I wouldn't mind changes if they weren't so stupid.
Yeah, I think Cersei's still walking down that corridor even as we record this. But we should probably stick with the more debatable changes. I don't know. What about Mance Rayder? What do you think about that?
I can see how it could work. But at the same time, like, they just... It was the way that they killed him.
I don't know. I liked it. I thought
I think it
Rayder,
makes sense.
I mean, it gave it more...
Yeah,
it gave it more gravitas that he's shooting Mance Rayder and granting him mercy than shooting some guy nobody cares about.
I think it makes sense because in the adaptation, they tend to shy away from the more magical elements. I know it doesn't seem like it, but there's a lot more magic in the books than there is in the TV show.
But I just think Mance Rayder as a character, he'd run his course.
Yeah.
I think with George R. R. Martin, there's just too many characters, too many like fraying threads when he should be trying to bring them all together because he's nearing the end. He's adding more characters. I'm like, what are you doing?
He's not adding any more point of view characters.
We're supposed to be tightening it up here. But yeah, he's I don't know what he's doing. But okay, so then that sets up the really big thing.
Fucking no.
Sure
No. I am salty as fuck.
Okay, in defense of it, you're gonna be so mad at me, but in defense of it, they did depict it as a power and violence thing, not a sex thing.
Yeah.
They did that right. They didn't make it sexual, which would have been the worst thing to do.
But it also didn't make any sense at all. Like,
okay, why didn't it make any sense?
Like, what? Right, Littlefinger tries to justify it to Sansa by saying, "Oh, you marry him and you'll get revenge on for your family," and like that is like the least logical thing you can do. I mean, Sansa, like, why has Littlefinger thrown his pawn, his like ace in the hole, Sansa, who he's grooming in the books? Why would he just throw her to the Boltons and like fuck off to King's Landing when the Boltons are known psychopaths? They have a history of fucking flaying the Starks and wearing their skins as cloaks. Roose Bolton was the one who fucking stabbed Robb Stark. Why does this make any sense? Why would Littlefinger leave her? Why wouldn't he keep her safe in the Vale and nice and secure? And then why does he tell Cersei? It's just what? What are they doing?
I think they're trying to... Littlefinger is trying to make an alliance with the Boltons as opposed to using Sansa as a token or a secret ace in the hole in that instance, right? He's trying to ally himself with the Boltons, and to ally himself with the Boltons he needs Sansa.
But then he goes and throws it all in her face by like telling Cersei and making Cersei hate the Boltons. And I know that he's meant to be all lol chaos, but it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I do think they're basically trying to make Littlefinger an asshole, which they obviously succeeded. Yeah. They're trying to make... The Boltons don't really need any more asshole points. They're already, like, the top score of,
they're assholes. Like the most hated people in Westeros after the
they're
phrase.
Worse, yeah, they're higher up than Joffrey, even. At least Joffrey didn't actually, like, go on through with the rape, right? So...
No, he didn't.
So they're already
Who'd
assholes.
have thought that we'd be praising Joffrey?
Yes, Joffrey. What a guy. That guy.
What a guy. He didn't rape Sansa.
Yeah, he's so patient, that guy. But they were also trying to create a bond forcibly, God, to use that word, between Theon and Sansa, I'm assuming, by having him witness it, making him cry.
Yeah.
The problem with that, it didn't really hit any emotional points for me because they never established that Sansa and Theon had a relationship.
No.
At all, at the beginning.
Theon has never mentioned Sansa.
Right.
Ever.
Like,
I don't think Sansa's been discussed in his presence. Ever.
It's like, yeah, they've never even talked, I don't think. And so it's just weird that he's crying over this. I mean, if it was Robb Stark getting raped by Ramsay, then it would have an emotional point. Then I would be like, oh my god, he's crying because his best friend is getting raped by Ramsay Bolton. But like, I wasn't even aware him and Sansa even knew each other. Well, and they never established that in season 1.
Well, he was like the family's ward and stuff.
Right? It's assumed that they know each other.
We assume that they know each other, but we have no proof on the TV show that they know each other. Other than Ramsay saying, you grew up with her, now watch her become a woman. And that is like the first thing that we get that they have a history.
He's like doing exposition, like right in front.
The exposition in this season was just horrific in general.
Right, so there was no point where like Jon Snow gives Needle to Arya and says, okay, these two these two like have a really good bond. So then when Arya tries to, throw away Needle and she can't do it,
Yeah.
it has
It
emotional
makes
impact.
sense.
Right, because it mirrors, it sort of, ties into the scene that happened in season 1.
Yeah.
With Theon and Sansa, that was really my biggest beef. Like, there's no emotional connection between the two.
No.
And that's why I kind
It
of thought Brienne would show up, because Brienne has that whole Caitlyn
Fucking
Stark thing.
Brienne running off on her magical need for revenge that hasn't been referenced for 2 fucking seasons.
And which brings us to the next change that they made, the whole Stannis thing with
My poor
his
little
daughter.
Bambi.
He fucking burned her at
He
the
burned
stake.
Shireen! Why would you do
What?
that? Why would you burn your only heir when you know that your wife can't have any more children because she's got a fucked up womb? Why would you burn your heir and then, like, even if you win the war, then your line ends as soon as you die? Like, why? Because of a bit of snow and 20 good men. 20 good men was all it took for Shireen to die.
And the worst part is they did that whole misdirection like thing where they had him say,
Yeah.
"You're my daughter," and had him.
It was like you knew it was coming because like kept on focusing on Shireen a lot this season. So you're like, yeah, she's gonna die, but she's so cute, and they killed her. Then they made us like watch her burn, and then like fucking Selyse goes crazy and like remembers after 5 seasons that hey, I have a daughter and I'm meant to love her.
But Game of Thrones is a brutal series, and we're used to it. I guess the question is, does it make sense for Stannis' character to do this?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No. Did you see the there was a line that came from one of the directors, when Brienne like kills Stannis and it cuts
Supposedly,
away.
they
and
cut
everyone
away
was-
on
yeah.
purpose. So.
Yeah, they said that they cut away because showing Stannis' death would be too gratuitous. How is that too gratuitous for
bullshit.
Game of Thrones? What the fuck?
That's as much bullshit as the whole Jon Snow is dead. He's deader
Yeah.
than dead bullshit. That is.
Well, it's like, yeah, we saw Jon Snow get stabbed 4 times. We saw Shireen burned to death. We had Sansa get raped brutally. We had the fucking rape fest behind the wall last season. We had Cersei getting raped on camera. We had fucking bloody gruesome deaths with Oberyn's getting his brains popped out. How is Stannis getting stabbed too gratuitous? What?
Yeah,
What is going through their mind? That is not. If you're going to like just to like try and misdirect people, don't use something as stupid as it's too gratuitous for Game of Thrones. What the fuck?
It's the best thing to do is just not say anything.
Yeah, and just say he's dead.
Exactly. I don't know why they went that route. I mean, in the books, they basically send Shireen to the castle, right?
Yeah, Shireen's nice and safe.
But we don't.
As safe as you can
yeah,
get at the wall with a crazy red priestess.
Right,
but-
we don't know Stannis' fate in the
No.
books, but supposedly, I think this was. I don't know if it was signed off by George R. R. Martin, but he did say that like Stannis' main characteristic is being ambitious. So he would do anything.
No, I think that was one of the directors. That was one of the directors who said that. George R. R. Martin is like written Stannis as not being really ambitious, but really like defined by his duty.
Okay. So
Like it was the directors who said that it was D&D.
oh, so he was pointing at
Stannis
at the author and saying he did it. It's kind
Yeah.
of like like somebody farts in a classroom, and then like the guy with like
Yeah, he did it. He's always said he's ambitious. That's Stannis. What a man.
It's all George R. R. Martin's fault. I wanted to make him a good guy, but that fucker over there.
Yeah, it's not like we've actively hated on his character for 4 seasons.
That fucker over there made me kill the girl, basically.
Yeah.
But I do like that they're reducing characters. They got rid
Yeah.
of the Aegon kid.
Yeah, that's a weird subplot.
Yeah, they got rid of what is it, One Eye? I forgot his name. He's the Iron Islands guy.
I think he's coming back next season.
Oh
actually.
God, is he?
There's casting calls for pirates.
Oh God, because there's
Yar.
like 10 suitors for Daenerys, isn't there? It's just too much.
If they've cut out Quentin Martell, like
Oh
fully cut
God,
him
thank
out.
you. Yes, cut
Oh.
out Quentin Martell. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, if they've cut out Quentin and they've cut out Aegon, then that means that there's basically Hizdahr, who's been killed. Then there's Dario, who's off on a magical adventure with Jorah. And then there'll be, if Euron's in it next season, then there'll be Euron as well. As a suitor. So it's basically going to be between Dario and Euron. Or if the theory that Dario is Euron is correct, then she's only got one suitor, so she'll be fine.
So, game of the month this month. Did you want to talk about her story?
Well, we'll talk about both. We'll do a bit of a promo for Room 404 and then her story, because they're both quite short.
Okay. So, let's talk about Room 404.
Yay!
Yay!
Let's do a bit of promo for the mod.
Yes. I've never done a promo for the mod. I'm really bad at marketing stuff because in general.
Hey, do you want a mod?
Yeah. Do you want a mod that is awesome? Yeah. That's horrible.
Oh God. We should start doing ad breaks in the podcast.
Yeah, no, because the thing is, I've never liked trailers because, especially for mods, because you're not selling anything. Like, you don't have to trick a person to play a mod because it's free, right?
No, you just have to be like, hey, do you want to try this out? It's pretty cool.
Right.
I think you'll like it.
Right, well, because with mods, or with any kind of trailer, you're always spoiling stuff. It doesn't matter how simple it is. Like, that's why, like, at the end of Mad Men, have you ever seen, like...
I haven't seen Mad Men.
Okay.
I want to see it, but I haven't seen it yet.
At the end of every episode, like, you can tell, like, the producers, like, force, like, Matthew Weiner to make a trailer for the next show, a teaser for the next show, right? So what he does is he just shows, like, 20, like, random 2-second clips, and he just mashes them together, and it makes absolutely no sense at all. But you know that he's doing it on purpose, just so he doesn't reveal anything and just to fuck with the producers. And that's basically kind of how I feel when I make, like, on the one hand, like, I want to give, because the actors, all of you guys, like, you like the little videos, right? Like, you're having a little video to show people. And so on one hand... I
do. It makes my mom happy.
Yeah. On the one hand, I want to make your mom happy. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh God, that's a spoiler. Okay, this line's a spoiler. That line's a spoiler.
Yeah.
So it's like,
You have to be very careful about which bit of dialogue you get.
Yeah. So I'm like...
it's got to be something that works out of context, but also isn't spoilery in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. But at the same time, I can't go full Matthew Weiner because then, obviously, you guys... You would have nothing You'd have nothing to show your mom. And that would not be good. We'd have to...
Yeah, I don't think that'd make Mum very impressed.
Yeah. She'd be like, what the fuck is this? This is what you're wasting your time on?
Yes. Sorry, Mum.
God damn it, you're grounded. But, yeah.
She can't ground me, I'm an adult. Oh yeah, that's the thing. I'm a proper adult now.
Oh, is there?
Because my birthday was in March. I was still a teen at the last podcast.
Oh, and now you're a full-grown woman.
I'm a full proper adult person who adults. Anyway, back to Room 404.
Right.
How can we talk about it without spoiling it? It's great.
I don't know.
You should try it.
Yeah. So, like, there's this abandoned building on the east side. You should totally go in there.
You should totally go over there and, drop through the floor.
Yeah, I didn't know how to exactly start it. Because, okay, the first idea I had was okay, we're gonna make an apartment building somewhere, right? We're gonna have to have like a set of apartments. It's basically kind of like the movie 4 Rooms. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, no.
Okay, it's a movie where there's 4 floors, and there's no more than 4 floors, but there's a bellhop, and he gets called to 4 different floors, and in each room there's something different, and it's each directed by somebody different. So there's one by Robert Rodriguez, one by Quentin Tarantino, and in each room there's a different story.
Oh, that sounds quite cool.
Okay, so it's a
I'll have to check that out.
Okay, so it's starring who's the guy at the beginning of Pulp Fiction? He's really short and he's like British, I think.
Oh, fuck. I don't know.
What?
I don't know actors' names. I'm not
You
that
know what I'm
clever.
talking about, right? He's blondish or whatever, and
I don't know.
Tim Roth, I think his name is. Oh, whatever.
I don't know.
Pulp Fiction guy is in it. But anyways, so back to the mod. Basically, in this mod, there's a couple rooms that you go into, and it's sort of that kind of dynamic where you're in the position of the bellhop, where you're going in there, you don't know what's behind these doors, and each door, has a different story. And the thing about it is, like, there has to be a way to have it make sense in the Fallout universe, because obviously it's a fucking apocalypse.
Yeah.
And the trick is, let me phrase it this way: the trick is trying to make these kind of normal human stories work in a Fallout universe where the concept of normal is completely warped, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you think we did?
I think I
Let's just toot
really
our
love
own
the storyline.
horns. Let's just slap
Yeah,
each
I
pat each
really
other
love the
with that.
storyline, and can I rate it?
Sure.
Because
rate it.
I don't think I can say anything else without spoiling it.
Okay.
So I'd rate my performance a sand snake because of the questionable accent. Like, Chris had to call me up and go through all my lines to help me because my American accent is shit.
No, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. It's you nailed it on the first take.
Yeah, totally. Didn't have to do any retakes at all. Like, my character was southern at the beginning, and then, like, you like, no, this is kind of not fitting at all. And so, like, I recorded another batch, and I went from bloody New York to Alaska, probably.
Well, the original take was very posh. It was like, so all these other people are just like very poor rural Americans, and then you have this one lady come in, like,
Well, hey there!
yeah, she's like a Southern belle with her own plantation and slaves.
Now why don't y'all come on through?
yeah. It was just ill-fitting, I should say.
We'll get the slaves, such as can have a cup of tea.
It was a great performance, though. It was just
Write me a southern character.
yes.
Write me a Blanche Dubois.
Yeah, well, we can put her in Tenpenny Tower.
Yes.
Yes, that's where all the rich folks hang out.
Yes.
Racist.
But I'd also rate it a Cersei or / Lena Headey because the other actors in the mod, especially the ones in the section that I'm in, tooting their own horn, Sean and Kate. The actors who played Sean and Kate, I think they just gave off amazing, like, really nuanced performances. Like, it was all very subtle, and which is hard to do, to be subtle whilst you're voice acting, because, like, obviously there's limitations of you can't use your face.
yeah.
That's the most obvious thing, and, like, your facial expression is where a lot of, like, your emotions and your performance comes from. Like, I pull the stupidest of faces when I'm voice acting.
Really?
But they somehow managed to get everything through. They managed to convey everything through the voice.
Right.
Which was really impressive, because the facial expressions that you can get in Fallout are generally quite limited.
Right, there's 5.
It's happy, sad, angry,
surprised, and pained. I don't know what pained
neutral.
means.
Yeah.
There's pained in there.
It probably means, like,
yeah. Well, they replaced it with
I'd
puzzled.
show you, but...
Yeah.
What?
In Skyrim, they replaced it with puzzled, I should say.
Puzzled instead of pain.
Yeah. So sometimes
Now I'm doing the puzzled face.
so now I think it's the same face though, because I don't know why they would go ahead and make a new face. So I basically, whenever I need to go with puzzled or pained, I choose the bottom option.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
There's also
it just goes to show how amazing their face capture technology is. Maybe that's something they're working on for Fallout 4.
Yeah, it is strange when you have two completely separate emotions like pained and puzzled that can use this exact same facial animation.
I'm just thinking back to Oblivion. Oh my god, the faces.
Those were horrible. But
They were painful.
But that's the thing. It not going to a new engine does allow us some familiarity with the kit, so it makes modding easier.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to complain about
Fair enough, yeah.
an old engine.
I don't have to do any of the technical stuff,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly. Stop complaining, Alice.
Soz.
Yeah, stop whining about things you don't understand.
Soz boss.
Yeah. No, I'm just fucking with you. And what were we talking about?
Should we move on to her story?
Sure, why not? That was a horrible segue, but okay.
Yeah. We can cut that out and
Yeah.
replace it with something
Yeah.
more.
No, that's
wonderful.
what the whole Batman music is for.
Right. We're meant to be a history show, and like the only way that we've managed to make this historical is because her story uses like fucking Windows 95 on the computer in the game. It's quite a good game.
Well, plus, her story, even though it has nothing to do with history, is kind of like a
Yeah.
female pun of history. Like his story, her
I
story.
didn't even see that. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
there you go. It's a history.
You've just made it relevant.
Yes, totally relevant.
Yeah. Basically, it's quite a simplistic premise. You've got to go through these recordings of police interviews and try and puzzle together what's happened. And you've got to use different keywords that you find in the videos to find more videos and unlock more videos and more videos until you finally come up with the whole story. And it's quite creepy, like playing the actual game. Because when you find a clip that gives you a really important detail to the story, you'll suddenly have like police sirens and you catch this reflection of your character, which is really quite terrifying the first time it happened, because I thought someone was behind me.
Okay, but isn't that more like accidental?
No, well, I don't know if it was meant to be creepy, but it was. It was very scary, and it caught me off guard. Yeah. It was scary. It's like you catch your character's reflection in the screen. I was playing it late at night as well, if that helps.
Okay, but the actual story is scary too.
The actual story is very, very disturbed. Like, I'm not going to go into it because I'm terrible with spoilers, but it is incredibly... Like, some of the aspects of the story are really quite sick.
And they do it all through video recollections or show images?
No, it's all through, like, police interviews. And you only get one side of the interview, so you only get what she's saying, you don't get what the police has asked her. And, like, it's an interesting premise, but the fact that there's no, like, way to make notes on what's been said, it means it's very difficult to sometimes keep track of all the characters who are referenced and things like that. So, it's quite difficult to piece all the story together. But once you get it, it's very rewarding. So, I would rate it a book marine, because there are really loads of characters to remember and it's difficult to quite keep track of everything.
Yeah, I didn't play the game, but I really like the setup, how it's all just videos and just, it's kind of like, what's that game? Papers, Please, in that sense. It's very simple mechanic. It's very,
It's very, very easy to get into and work your way around.
Right. And it's very innovative in that sense. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with how indie games sort of, they're kind of forced to abandon the framework that AAA games typically have. Like, they don't have an engine to worry about. They don't have to, like, okay, we have to make a new engine. We have to make things conform.
They don't
to
have
that.
to worry about making millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, you can just say sextillion or something. I don't know.
Sex.
Dick joke.
That's not the promised dick joke. The dick that was promised.
Yes, we're all building up to this incredible
This
penis
historical
joke that we're
penis
gonna
joke.
make. Yeah, that's the entire 40 minutes was
Yeah.
Just for
Well,
this
we're on
reason.
48 minutes now.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
I'm probably at 30 seconds less or a couple minutes less because my
Okay.
microphone.
Well,
is
I
low.
started recording like about a couple of minutes before we started.
You started
so-
recording this morning
Yeah.
before I even called you.
You've got loads of shit to sift through.
Yeah. Question of the month.
Yes.
And here is, at long last,
Some history.
yes. Every year at E3, games get hyped up with trailers that end up making the final product look bad. This is like some guy lying to his date about his 10-inch dick. At some point, the truth is going to come out. Still, hype is not limited to video games and teenage boys. What are some of history's greatest hypes turned blunders? Alice?
Well, one of the biggest historical anticlimaxes I can think of is sleeping with Carlos II of Spain because he was infertile and he had syphilis. LOL, dick joke.
God. Spoilers, you're going to die.
Yeah, it's quite interesting actually because the fact that he was infertile led to him gifting the Spanish throne to his hated rival, Louis XIV's grandson, as long as he removed his grandson from the line of French succession. And Louis XIV was like, lol, I'm not losing my heir as well. So he decided to try and take Spain and France for his grandson. And England was like, what the fuck are you doing? That's way too much power for one guy. And basically it fueled the French-English rivalry that eventually led to the American War of Independence and France's backing of the American rebels. So, thanks, Carlos, for being infertile.
But what was the hype element? Did Carlos brag about his sexual prowess or something, or?
Well, it's the fact that you're sleeping with a king and you you think, oh my god, I'm sleeping with a king, and then it's like, oh my god, he gave me syphilis, the bastard.
Oh yeah, that would suck if games gave you
I just
syphilis.
really wanted to shoehorn in a dick joke.
Okay.
I've got actual historical ones coming up, but yeah.
If a game did give you syphilis, that would be quite the anti-hype result.
That'd be EA. Lol.
Yeah. It wouldn't matter how good the trailer was. Like, even if the game lived up to the hype. Yeah.
That's what Half-Life 3 is going to do.
Yeah, it's going to literally give you
It's going
syphilis.
to give us all syphilis.
Yeah.
Literally give us syphilis. I mean, they're working on VR. Who knows?
It's
Who
just
knows?
it's gonna pull itself out of your computer.
Syphilis in your face.
Yeah. Just blow it up all in your face. Is there, so did you wanted to give another example, you said?
Yeah. The Cold War. Like, I'm not an expert on the Cold War by any means. Like, we'd never covered it in school and stuff like that. And it is too intricate to get into loads of detail about. But it's, I do understand the basic gist of it. And, whilst it did lead to huge advancements in science and especially space travel, I mean, obviously, the world was basically living in fear and preparing for a nuclear war that never came.
Right.
And because, obviously both sides had weapons that could completely decimate the rest of the world because of the alliances between the various different countries and the proximity of the different countries to one another and, nuclear fallout. I mean, going back to Fallout again, lol. And, but neither side wanted to use them because of the amount of destruction it would have. I mean, it'd be a hollow victory if, it did come to war. And still neither side would back down, so it was always this constant tension of, are we going to go to war? Are we all going to die? Are we all going to live in crazy shelters with guys named Gary? And it was... and basically the anticlimax for that was that we all didn't die and we're not all ghouls. So that's cool. That's quite a good anticlimax.
Yeah, they did kind of hype that up a lot, nukes, we're all gonna die.
Nuclear war, get hype!
That would be quite the horrifying trailer if EA, if Nintendo came up to the stage and they said, we're all going to kill you. We're gonna make Nintendo consoles
And
they're
then
going-
Sony was like, no, we're all going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo was like, no, you. And Sony was like, no, you. And then Mario comes on stage and he's like, no, you. And then they get Nathan Drake being all witty. And
And you'd also have like
like-
Reggie.
fucking Reggie.
Yeah, you'd have him, talking a lot of smack. But I do think he's kind of all talk. Did you watch that Smash Brothers
Yeah.
performance?
He'd be the one to threaten nuclear war. I think he's secretly psychotic.
Yeah, he'd be the, I don't know if is there a good analogy there?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not up to scratch on my Cold War history.
Yeah, you should be.
Well, it's not something we study in school.
You're too busy studying spells.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. I'm not doing the accent.
You have to do the accent. Or shall
No, I
I
can't.
do it? If I
You
can
do it,
find
go
the
ahead.
question. Let me just get my email up. This might take a minute. Boop. Boop. I will warn you that my apples and pears aren't up to
I
scratch.
don't even know what that means.
Ah! Where is it? There we go. Alright. Hello, Governor. I was taking a gander at that there Assassin's Creed game, and it's bees and honey, mate, real class. We all dem birds and puffs wearing corsets and skirts that go down past the lollies. As someone born within spitting distance of Barbells, I was wondering if this was an authentic London game, or if Ubisoft took me phrase literally and spit on St Mary Le Beau instead. I don't get any of that
Yay.
slang. I don't get Cockney rhyming slang. It's fucking weird. Anyway, to translate that question, is the outfits presented in Assassin's Creed Syndicate trailer accurate? And I focus mainly on Evie because she's cross-dressing,
Is she?
apparently. Well, kind of. Like, if you look at her concept art, if you just do a quick Google, then you can see that she's dressed in what is basically a fitted Victorian gentleman's garb.
That
I
is
mean-
so Ubisoft considering that whole fiasco with the female
Yeah.
protagonist.
Oh, that was horrendous.
And then they finally put one in, and then she's dressed like a man.
Yeah. Well, kind of. I mean, obviously, like, a traditional woman's outfit in Victorian times would be really impractical, because, I mean, I've worn corsets, I've worn steel bone corsets and stuff like that, and you can't move. It's very difficult to have any kind of mobility, which isn't exactly ideal when you're parkouring around old London town.
No, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ubisoft.
And it's also really difficult to go to the toilet, especially if you're wearing, like, bloomers in a skirt, because you've got to, like, get the bloomers out from under the corset, and you've got to, like, lift the skirt up, and then you've got to put the bloomers back on under the corset, and it's hard. So if you can't go to the toilet in it, then you're definitely not going to be parkouring around London in it.
No, you're not going to do that at all. So
I
it's a
mean-
good move.
Well, kind of. Like, Victorian women, like, were engaged in a largely sedentary lifestyle, and their fashion reflects that. Whereas men's outfits were slightly more flexible, although they could still be kind of restrictive. Like, the first thing that comes to my mind is the fact that Victorian gentlemen wore high-waisted trousers. And, like, high-waisted stuff now is quite good because, like, it's all quite stretchy fabrics and stuff like that, but the fabrics that they would have used would have been quite restrictive. So, like, you wouldn't be able to lift your knee up very high and stuff like that. So it'd be very difficult to have the kind of mobility that you need to stab people in the face.
Exactly. That's what
Yeah.
if there were more British people stabbing people and jumping around instead of acting like gentlemen, maybe
We
you would have
wouldn't
more
need-
loose-fitting clothes.
Yeah. And, like, both protagonists are seen with hats and hoods in, like, concept art and within the trailers. And, like, hoods were very, very, very unfashionable in Victorian England. Like, no one went around with a hood. That was just weird. Everyone, like, unfashionable. But at the same time, like, wearing a hat isn't exactly ideal when you're climbing up Big Ben.
In real, authentic England, when you stab somebody in the throat, you don't hide your face, basically. is what
Well,
you're
you
saying.
do. You just wear a hat instead of a hood.
But you don't. I mean, it doesn't hide your complete face. You're
No.
obvious.
It shadows you a bit.
A real gentleman looks another man in the eye.
Tell
Or
you
woman.
here. I'm just going to stab you now, old chap. Stand still.
Good day.
Good day, Governor. Right, now let's talk about cross-dressing, because I love
yay.
cross-dressing, it's great. Not for myself, but for other people, it's cool.
Nice.
Right, there was a famous actress in late Victorian England, so 1890s, Vesta Tilley. She was one of the most famous and high-paid women in Victorian England, and this was due mainly because she was willing to cross-dress and perform masculine roles within the theatre, which was a reversal of the historic practice of men playing women in pre-Restoration theatre.
Of course.
And there was a famous case of two gentlemen, Frederick Park, 22, and Ernest Bolton in 1870, dressing as women and flirting, and they were arrested and charged for homosexuality and conspiracy. In this case, the conspiracy was misleading men as their gender, which the authorities perceived as trying to get sexual gratification through misdirection. And there were also numerous cases of men dressing as women, of women dressing as men for practical reasons. So, like, for protection, for love, to establish independent businesses away from their disapproving fathers or brothers or husbands.
And parkour.
Yeah, and parkour. There was one woman who would cross-dress and, like, almost double her wage at a job because there was a huge wage gap in Victorian England. And there was another who dressed as a man to steal away with her employer's goods without raising as much suspicion as a woman would walking the streets at night by herself. So, in light of this, let's go back to Evie and let's go back to Evie's costume. Right, if you look at the costume closely, especially in the trailer, her coat has a corset back, which is stupid as fuck. Like, corset, that's just a fashion accessory.
Right.
That it serves no practical purpose. In fact, it's impractical because someone can pull on the laces and grab her.
It does serve one purpose. It's sexy.
Yeah, it's sexy. Like, how did she find a tailor who would tailor the coat that perfectly for her? Like, that's... Like, unless she's an amazing seamstress as well, I'm not buying it.
She could be.
And she wears a half cape, which is just stupid. Half capes were a Renaissance thing, not a Victorian thing. It's just completely out of period. It's fucking stupid. It's like, it looked good on Ezio because that was a fashion in Ezio's time, not in fucking Victorian England.
Does she wear heels too?
I didn't see that. Probably. I don't know. But, like, the only, like, reason I can come up with that she has the half cape is so they can show that her coat has a corset back. And, like... Yeah, it's just trying to be edgy. I used to wear a coat with a corset back, and it was just stupid. Yeah, I was... Well, you forget that I went through my vampire phase.
Oh, that's right. You were an edge master.
It was part... Yeah, I was edgy as fuck. And, like, she accessorizes with a gentleman's cane, which, you know, it is a traditional Victorian gentleman's accessory, like having a cane. The fact that it disguises a sword actually works well in trying to blend in with Victorian London, but overall, her outfit just makes her stick out like a really, really sore thumb that's infected in Victorian London. Because, like, if you're going to have a character cross-dress, then you have to have them cross-dress all the way, otherwise there is no way that she'll be able to blend in with the crowd at all. Like, some of the other protagonists, you can imagine them almost managing to escape into the crowd. Not her! Like, if she ran into a crowd and tried to escape the guards, they'd be like, right, we have to go for the woman who's half dressed as a man, half dressed as a woman. Shouldn't be too hard. Whereas if she was cross-dressed fully as a man, then she'd be able to escape into the crowd much easier.
But if she's fully cross-dressed, then what are gamers going to masturbate to? That's the real question you need to be asking yourself. What is average Joe gamer going to jerk off to if Evie is not fully... If Evie does not resemble a hot parkour doing Victorian lady?
Well, James Kidd didn't. James Kidd was a full cross-dresser, and she was fucking beautiful.
Why aren't you thinking about the heterosexual males, Alice?
Because I'm a heterosexual white female. I have to think of my own.
Who's going to look out for us?
I don't want to jerk off to Evie. I can't jerk off to Evie. What's the female equivalent of jerking off? I don't know what the slang is.
Schlicking? I don't know.
Oh,
You're
that
a
sounds
woman?
gross.
You're a woman?
That sounds really, really gross.
Well, because
Schlicking.
it's like onomatopoeia, that's why. It's actually, it's like the word moist, your favorite word.
No. You still haven't made me say it. Ugh. No. Let's not add schlicking to the everyday slang vocabulary.
Okay, so that's it for this month. Hopefully, you're still awake
Yeah.
after we meandered through
We're
that
alive!
episode. Yeah. So you want to say goodbye, Alice?
Bye, guys. See you in another half a year.
Yeah. See you in Christmas. We're going to
Yeah!
talk about the Doctor Who Christmas special.
And the Sherlock Christmas special.
Of course. How can we forget that?
If
Once-
it comes out at
Yeah.
Christmas, which it probably won't. It'll probably be delayed or something, I don't know.
Benedict Cumberbatch will be 60 years old. It'll be his
Yeah.
son playing the role.
Cumberbatch.
Whatever, I don't know.
I'm just imagining like Chris Hemsworth with Benedict Cumberbatch's face. I'm Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay. Yeah, so say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
This next song is what we at Top 40 call an old-fashioned comeback story. You see, just a few years ago, the charts didn't go past 40, and a lot of great songs went unnoticed. One of them was this little tune composed by Carl Sigman, with lyrics by Bob Russell. But it's the singer who really makes the record. You may have heard of her. Her name is Billie Holiday. Here she is at number 33 with Crazy He Calls Me.